Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time, a little bit about me. My name is Javan Cornelius. I'm an independent development producer and a creative, and also a network TV DP. And I also currently shoot a TV show right here in Nashville. Making documentaries. How I got into making documentaries is I actually started applying for grants to make documentaries while I was in college. And I won my first grant with Black Public Medium in Harlem, New York, to develop and make a documentary that was a part of the new relaunch of Eyes on the Prize. So my first paid documentary was $5,000, and it was a great experience. From there, I won another documentary grant to work for the WGBH in Boston. And there, at that time, there was a filmmaker that made a film called Banished, and they wanted to make films that were around that, to celebrate that documentary and to create more talk. And so that was my second foray into documentary filmmaking. And then I made my own documentary as well as a thesis film. It's called Chocolate City. It was a documentary about Black college life. And that's what I did while I was in college, right? 2007. Getting paid as a senior to make documentaries for organizations that would begin my documentary career. Since then, I've been able to make 50 documentaries, travel to over 10 different countries to get hired and make documentaries, and also travel to over 30 different states and develop and make documentaries and docuseries. And so now I'm still making paid documentaries. And how do you go about making a documentary, having that background? How does one set up to get paid to do a documentary? And it all starts with just, of course, putting your work out there. And number two, that phone call. When I'm first getting my documentary process, when I'm first getting a phone call, the first thing I'm doing is I'm asking the person, what is this documentary? What do you want it to do? Do you want it to inspire change? Do you want to create more awareness about your brand, right? Are you trying to provoke people to do this or do that, right? There's a lot of things that a person or a client could possibly have that they want to do about the documentary. And I've been blessed with people who ultimately just want to tell their story and inspire people and to let them know that they could go from literally nothing to something. So you've told me what your documentary is short, right? I'm not going to let you explain a story without a deposit, right? Because you have a lot of experience, and in my experience in the past, like, you don't want to listen to someone talk about their whole story for an hour and then they find out about your rates and it's not within their budget. You do want to get there. So after finding out their mission and their story in short, right? A sentence or two, a paragraph. In 1 minute, tell me what, and you're telling them, in 1 minute, tell me tell me a brief glimpse of your story. Okay. And so after that, I'm setting them up to send them over, my prices, what I charge by the minute, right? It's very important, right? Because a 5-minute documentary, of course, it's not going to take as much as work as a 30-minute documentary, right? So I'm giving them price points. So after they select their price points, I'm then having a phone call with them. So let's say they selected a 5-minute documentary. Then I'm going to have like a 15-minute consultation in which they could tell their story. The very important part of when that person tells me the story, how I prepare for that, is I am watching some documentaries that I feel that's close to their story before I had that call, right? So they've made their deposit already, and I know that this is actually going to happen. And so what I'm bringing to take notes is a piece of paper, an iPad, but the most important thing is you got to bring a voice recorder. I'm doing that call on a speakerphone, or you might want to use an app, and that's important because when somebody is telling you their story, you don't necessarily want to keep stopping them to take notes. Now, it is important while you are talking to them to ask them questions about things that may be unclear, and to outline that. But it's very important that you have that sound recorder, because it's nothing like asking a person once you're on set to clarify something. That is your opportunity to get everything clear. So after I've had the chance to have that consultation call, I'm going to go ahead and put their story in the form of a script that has questions that will allow me to ask questions that will allow them to talk about their story on camera. Also, I'm going to plan out the footage that goes along with those questions. It's very important that you understand. You need a lot of footage when you are doing a documentary, and you want that footage to go along with that person is talking about, right? So I'm planning that footage. And then I began to go into, so I've gotten the script, and so then I'm going to break down how am I going to do this and film this documentary, right? How is the production part? Because right now we're in pre-production and planning it, right? I've been hired to do it. And so what I do is I plan out, usually if I'm doing a 5-minute documentary, right, I'm planning a 2-day shoot. We're going to have one day where we do interviews, and then we're going to have a second day when we're going to go shoot that B-roll. And so once I've put that script together and they approved it, and they approved that shooting schedule, I hired a right crew, and we go out and we film that documentary. And so now going to the post-production process, I've filmed everything. I've done interviews. The most important part is finding like the tone, right? Again, so you've watched documentaries. Like I said, I'm watching documentaries that are like the story that I'm telling, right? And so after we go out and shoot, I then begin to listen to music. For me, my process is I like to find the sound of what moves what I'm currently working on. And sometimes, just by playing music, you can kind of find like the rhythm of the story. And that really helps you piece together everything. And so that's, so in the post-production process, I have my music. I begin to lay down the story the way that I have scripted it, and then I begin to edit. Now, sometimes I'll even bring in a composer, right? But again, I am sending, maybe I might send a raw cut, or maybe I might send a sound over to the composer to start making something that I can use. And so after I've edited, I make sure I take time to, upload it to my private YouTube channel, and then I watch it, right? I watch it. I send it to a couple of friends. It's important to get feedback, right? And so I'm getting feedback from people. What do you think? And in general, the first reaction is the reaction that's really important. After you've seen it 8 or 9 times, that's not the first feeling. Because believe me, when I'm done making documentaries, I don't want to see them because I've seen them over 100 times. And so after the post-production is finished, I'm sending over the edited project to the client. I'm getting them to give me feedback, and then I make my final revisions, and then I deliver my final file. And that's generally how I make my documentaries. That's the process, right? Generally, making a documentary and being a good documentary filmmaker is about being a good listener. Listen to what the person is trying to do. Are they trying to inspire? Are they trying to really tell their story of, where they came from to where they are now? It's important that it's very clear, right, in your script that you have highlighted those points because they want to see those points. And just always remember, the person that has hired you to do the documentary, it's important that you have them in the documentary a lot. You can be hired by someone to do a production and not include them actually in it. And it's very important that you include them in it a lot unless they request not to. So again, that's my documentary process. And make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos of me just sharing my process and really just taking you behind, what I've been doing since 2007 as a creative and as a independent development producer and also a DP.